Recording in progress.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Greenbelt City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Here.
Here. Ms. Pompey? Here. Ms. Pope?
Here.
Mr. Roberts? Ms. Weaver? Here. Mayor Jordan?
I'm here. At this time, would you please join us in a moment of silent reflection as we remember several residents and others who have passed away since the last council meeting? These would include Delice Lopez, Paul Rimnick, and Roger Milton Evans. Please join us in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Councilmember McKinney, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Ms. Pope, will you share the Greenbelt Pledge?
Sure. The strength of Greenbelt is diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation. We celebrate all people. By sharing together, all are enriched. We strive to be a respectful, welcoming community that is open, accessible, safe, and fair.
Thank you so much. So we hold these council meetings 2 times a month except for August and December on Mondays to set policy to take formal actions. Our meetings are open to the public except for executive sessions as authorized by state law so that residents and others can observe council's deliberations. We do strive to provide reasonable opportunities for the public to voice opinions on matters being considered, and we'll pause periodically for public comment. During these times, if you wish to address council or to make a statement, raise your hand if you're here in the room, and after being recognized, you can go to the microphone and the podium, and you'll need to provide your name and address, more or less. We need this information for the minutes. If you're on Zoom, you can submit a comment during using the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen, or you can raise your virtual hand. Once again, we do need a name and an address. We don't take anonymous comments on Zoom. And if you're watching on cable TV or on Zoom or Facebook, you can send us an email. The email address is questions@greenbeltmd.gov. With petitions and requests, which is the next section of the agenda, we ask you to limit your remarks to 5 minutes to speak on one topic related to your main point. And we ask, as always, that you avoid questioning the motives of others, and in general, let's all be civil in our remarks. So at this time, let's open up the floor to petitions and requests. As I mentioned, there's a 5-minute time limit. Are there any petitions or requests? Yes, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Is this on? Hello? Can you hear me?
Don, you got it. Just gotta get real close.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Michael Canavan. I am a 39-year resident and 5.5-year city employee, currently living 51 Ridge. And I've got a letter to read. We, the undersigned employees of the Public Works Department of the City of Greenbelt, are requesting a change to Section 3, Paragraph 22 of the Greenbelt City Charter and to Article 8 of Chapter 13 of the Greenbelt City Code, the Labor Code, to allow us to be represented for purposes of collective bargaining and collectively bargain with the city in a manner substantially similar to the process provided to the Greenbelt City police officers. We're not asking for anything different than what the city already affords to its sworn police officers. We only ask that the city's current authorities for collective bargaining for police be expanded to also include the city's public works employees. We love our jobs and we love the city of Greenbelt. We want to work together collectively to continue to improve our jobs. We know that our voices are stronger together, so we are joining together to form a union with Leuna Local 572. We believe that a union is important to resolve any grievances on a mutually beneficial basis. We believe in a unified voice in case of any changes to the department, intended or unintended. Finally, we believe that as workers, we would like to join an organization like Leuna that can advocate for us at the local, state, and federal levels. Sincerely, Michael Canavan, Nate Rozier, Robbie Tripe, Dewan Stanbeck, and the majority of the Greenbelt Public Works employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Let's see, and I should have said initially, all the petitions and requests, they're logged by the city clerk, and an action is taken. Can't say exactly how soon, but yeah, thank you. Are there other petitions or requests? Yeah, please.
Hi, yeah, my name's Trent, and Nate and Dwan, could you guys just stand up and just to recognize you guys here? Dwan, Nate, just between the three of them, Nate's the veteran, but they have 34 years with the City of Greenbelt Public Works Department. So I work for the union Leuna, the laborers, and I've been supporting Mike, Nate, Dwan, and all their coworkers in forming a union. A union will be good for the city, the residents, and especially the workers. Thanks so much. And if you have any other questions, I'm always here to help and support.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. Frankie Santos Fritz, 23 Ridge Road. It's very exciting to hear that the workers of our city have taken this step at a time when the Trump administration is systematically dismantling federal collective bargaining agreements. I think this is a great opportunity for the city to show it can have positive labor management relations and do so in an expedient manner as soon as a majority is ascertained for purposes of collective bargaining. I think the city should extend recognition of that union and begin bargaining immediately, really to show people around the region that we do live our values here in Greenbelt and that we do care about the quality of life of our workforce and that we don't see these things as opposed to the quality of life of our residents, but we know many of our residents are our workers and vice versa, and we should do everything in our power to support them and unequivocally stand with our workers in terms of collective bargaining for purposes of wages, benefits, and other working conditions. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Are there any other petitions or requests? Please, Mr. Orleans.
Thank you, Bill Orleans. I also am pleased to hear either a longtime resident who's also a member of Public Works Department or others who may not be residents advocate for changing the charter and code. This is not a new issue. Several years ago, Public Works employees came to council asking not for this, the recognition of their inherent right to organize and collectively bargain, but simply for a better relationship with city management, and they were and never threatening, but suggesting that they might want to organize if that were not to occur. And it's my belief that they were dissuaded from any further action by intervention of city management and including within the department and maybe council, although I can't be certain of that. But while I'm thrilled to hear public works employees, resident or not, advocate for a recognition of their inherent right to organize, it's been suggested for years now to council that the charter should be amended to recognize the rights of all Greenbelt employees other than the police to organize and collectively bargain, and further that the code be changed stipulating that neither city management or council would attempt to impede that right. It should be known to these folks that years ago, there was a referral to the Community Relations Advisory Board and also the Employee Relations Board. And in both instances, those boards reported back to council that if council chose to do this, to change the charter recognizing the rights of employees and the code stipulating that there'll be no attempt to impede that on that right, it would be a good thing to do. Council sat on those two reports for the last 3 or maybe 4 years now. So I'm grateful that employees, including residents, are advocating for this change.
Well, thank you. Hey, are there any other petitions and requests? Usually when we have a number of individuals here speaking on the same topic, we ask that one spokesman speak out. I differ with Mr. Orlean's characterization of council's attitude and feelings about petitions and requests, and collective bargaining in particular. So, are there any other petitions or requests tonight? Thank you so much. Thank you. So at this time, we need to look at the consent agenda, and I believe there's a modification to the consent agenda.
Yes, I believe the committee reports, acceptance of the committee reports items 10A, B, and C. I would like to add those to the consent agenda. We already have item C as a separate discussion item, but I think those were just, in our new formatting, I think were left off of the consent agenda items. And I would also note, I think there's a duplicate. There's number 8 is minutes, but that's also already in the consent agenda. So I think that's just a duplication. So that can be sort of rolled into the minutes. So adding 10 A, B, and C to the consent agenda and recognizing that item 8 is already on the consent agenda as a duplicate. Those would be my proposed changes to the consent agenda.
Oh, very good. Is there a second to the motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Second.
I'm going to give that to Ms. Niesel.
I think you were simultaneous.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And at this time, could I please have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries as well. And that's going to bring us to the next item on the agenda, which proclamations. We've got 2 of them tonight. This is a very joyous occasion because tonight we are going to acknowledge Peace Month, which is a tradition in the city of Greenbelt and throughout the world. We've actually shifted the month that we observe Peace Month to coincide with other commemorations around the world. So at this time, I'd like to call up representatives from the Peace and Justice Coalition and others that are here. If you come forward, I'll present you with this proclamation. Hey, welcome, Mr. Barnes. You can come closer. It's okay. This is good. So, whereas in Maryland, it's estimated that there will be 6,270. Oh, this is the wrong proclamation. Let me try again. Whereas the residents of Greenbelt have committed themselves to our community pledge, in which the city celebrates its strength as a community of diverse people living together in a spirit of cooperation where all people are celebrated and respected. And whereas the city of Greenbelt has worked for many years to promote peace and nonviolence through its Community Relations Advisory Board, Community Mediation Service, Community Policing Program, CARES, Youth and Family Counseling, Recreation Programs, and other city activities, and continues its efforts to ensure that a culture thoroughly pervaded by peace and nonviolence comes closer each and every day. And whereas the many Greenbelt residents active in the Prince George's County Peace and Justice Coalition are working with other Greenbelt groups to organize and conduct programs and activities to promote peace and nonviolence. And whereas in September of each year, these groups highlight their activities and the community continues its commitment to diversity, cooperation, peace, and nonviolence. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and City Council of Greenbelt, do hereby issue this proclamation declaring the month of September to be Peace Month in Greenbelt. Encourage all of our residents and civic organizations to participate in activities that promote inclusion, understanding, peace, and nonviolence throughout the city. So I'd like to present this proclamation to all of you. And let's see, can we get a picture? Here's my phone. Is this good? Council, why don't you stand up?
Okay, yes, we should.
Everybody say peace. Peace.
Thank you.
very much. So, Daniel and other representatives, this is such a joyous time in the city, and a lot of activities, a lot of community groups doing special programs, and the programs have already begun. So, do you want to give us a quick overview of what the Peace and Justice Coalition has pulled together?
Sure. And I think I, I did so last year as well. Fortunately, we have so many more activities than we had last year. I think this switch from June, which was already, Pride and having Juneteenth, and moving it to September, where there's the International Day of Peace, which is on the 21st, is you know, the correct move, and I'm expecting it's only going to swell. And for a little bit of background, the Prince George's Peace and Justice Coalition, we've been around since 1986 as part of the National Peace Action, itself the successor to SANE, the National Organization for a Sane Nuclear Policy. And because the vision of peace is much bigger than denuclearization, we still have that as a spoke, but we're also um, considering nonviolence and promoting positive peace as a fuller picture. And in 2000, the idea started of having a month of peace in Greenbelt. It was at the recommendation of 2000's Nobel laureates who said that this new millennium we should be practicing peace and having a month set aside for peace to help bring out a decade of peace for the children of the world. And while it is joyous to remember the peacemakers and think about all the peace that we can exercise and like practice over this next month, it's also a somber and sobering sort of thing, because in the 21st century we haven't had a decade of peace for the children, let alone a day. And in 2025, uh, the doomsday clock is at 89 seconds. So, towards the sane nuclear policy, we're now currently the closest we've ever been to a nuclear catastrophe or some other human-made disaster. But it's with that sobriety and also that focus on the children, because there hasn't been a day where children haven't deserved to know peace. That we are having all of these events and activities to remember the peacemakers and to remember it joyously, but also to know that there's importance in practicing that, and that it's not just finding our peace and holding on to it, but finding a peace that we can give out. I put a damper on this parade before it's really kicked into motion. But I want to make sure that there's that full awareness of the times that we're finding ourselves in. And I also wanted to make sure, and I know that I will not be able to talk about all of the events in detail. And last Friday, I believe, was actually the first event that the Baha'i group did as part of Peace Month. I appreciate that. And I also want to recognize the Greenbelt Rotary Club, the Greenbelt Interfaith Leadership Association, or GILA, the Contemplative Prayer Group of Greenbelt, the Greenbelt Writers Club, the Sing Along for Peace and Justice, and the Greenbelt Baha'i, and all of the other groups that are helping to host, helping to sponsor, and make Peace Month a big occasion for Greenbelt. And I believe that we have on the city page a list of Peace Month events as well. And I recommend anyone who hasn't had a chance to look at that to take a look, because they're all free and open to the public. And, as I mentioned, the Sing Along for Peace and Justice is one that is, particularly spectacular because it's not just a city event, but it is an international event. On Sunday, the 21st, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., there's going to be singing in the Roosevelt Center. But that is just this time zone, but all across the world from 2 to 3 p.m., there's going to be that same sort of singing because it coincides with the UN's International Day of Peace. And with that concerted effort, we'll have a whole day of the world singing together songs of peace for 24 hours. So I think that is one way to feel connected, but there's so many other ways. I think if I went into all that detail, we'd never get past proclamations. And I know that there's another proclamation, so I'm going to make sure I'm ceding the floor if there aren't any questions or comments.
Yeah, I would just like to thank you and the members of the Peace and Justice Coalition for pulling this commemoration together. As you've rightfully said, these are very challenging times that we're living through right now. So to be able to bring people together around the theme of peace is very, very important. So just looking around the room, it's good to see Mr. Barnes here and so many of you that have worked on behalf of peace and harmony for such a long time in this community, this county, the state, and nationally. So deep appreciation to you all. Comments?
Thank you very much.
And all the information is listed on there.
Yeah, I think I just want to shout out the Rotary Club event is on the 20th from 11 to 2, which unfortunately also conflicts with the Electric Vehicle Fair as well as the Blues Festival. So it's going to be, there's a lot of events that particular weekend, but I think that's one worth shouting out.
Yep. Fortunately, if you're there on the 20th, you'll have singing in the Roosevelt Center. If you're there on the 21st, you'll have singing. And also, fortunately, while we have the Rotary Club event from 11 to 2, if you're not pieced out by then, we'll continue to have the community group event at the Greenbelt Community Center. And I know that was a big crowd pleaser last time, and so I'm hoping people will have enough to have a little breather at from 2 to 3, and then join us again.
Looking forward to that. I hope the weather is nice. Maybe we can kind of walk over to the Peace Pole location and sit there and talk a bit as well. So thank you, Daniel. Hey, well, that's going to bring us to the next proclamation, which is related to the Let's Beat Breast Cancer Day, which is coming up on September the 13th, this Saturday. Geraldine Adams is here. You're coordinating this event, so please come up. Very good.
Not a very special volunteer.
Whereas in Maryland, it's estimated that there will be 6,270 new cases of breast cancer and 830 breast cancer deaths in 2025, according to the American Cancer Society. And whereas October is recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, emphasizing the importance of taking steps to reduce the risk of breast cancer and its recurrence. And whereas in June 2025, the American Medical Association passed a resolution encouraging physicians to discuss these steps with women. And whereas the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, Let's Beat Cancer, Breast Cancer campaign is created by physicians and dietitians, and that offers crucial information and resources designed to help individuals adopt a four-pronged approach to minimize the risk of developing breast cancer or experiencing a recurrence. And this approach includes choosing healthy plant-based foods, exercising regularly, limiting alcohol consumption, and maintaining a healthy weight. And whereas the residents of Greenbelt, Maryland will join numerous rally organizers in events across the United States and abroad by hosting a Let's Beat Breast Cancer rally this season, Roosevelt Center, September 13th, 2025. Now, therefore, I, Emmett V. Jordan, by the authority vested in me by the residents and the City Council of Greenbelt, hereby proclaim September 13th, 2025 as Let's Beat Breast Cancer Day in Greenbelt. And we encourage all residents to visit the rally, to visit the letsbeatbreastcancer.org website and join the campaign and consider adopting the four-pronged approach to breast cancer prevention. I'd like to present this to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Adams, you want to talk a little bit about the rally? Welcome.
Yeah, so this is our second Let's Beat Breast Cancer rally. And so last year we did one in the Roosevelt Center with an awful lot of support from the city, especially Patrick Mullins was very, very helpful, just with all the details of how you put an event together here in Greenbelt and all the resources that are available. The event went very, very smoothly. And at the end of the event, Patrick asked me what my date was for next year. So we have music, and basically the idea is to make a lot of noise about a message that people aren't hearing that is very important to hear. There are known lifestyle decisions that we all make, and they impact our health. And so getting this information out to the public, getting it out to people here in Greenbelt and our other neighbors, it's very important to me. I'm an 18-year survivor of breast cancer. I feel very fortunate, and I've had wonderful care. But there is the component of health that really is our own, that we have power over, that we can control. So we just want to share that message. We've tried to expand from last year. This year we're going to be having a few more vendors, so we're going to have a few more resources. One I'm especially excited about is a group called Hope Connections, and it's an organization that addresses the emotional part of cancer recovery, and they have a wide variety of really excellent programs that are all free, and they're for people with cancer and their caregivers. So it's a great resource, and I'm really happy that they're coming here. The volunteer who's coming for the organization knows Greenbelt well. I think her son lives here in Greenbelt. Anyhow, so we also have some Cheers is going to be there. They're one of the co-sponsors. And we're going to have a lot of attention to healthy lifestyles, gardening, for our health, for the health of the planet, and for ourselves, our own personal health. Greenbelt Recreation is going to be there. So we have a number of resources that people can learn from and get some information from. So anybody have any questions? I just hope you can all.
Well, thank you for
come
pulling
out.
this together. So what time?
Oh, it is this Saturday.
And
the
where's it going to be?
13th of September. And it's 11 a.m. and it's at the Roosevelt Center.
Okay. I think, so you'd mentioned, I think Luminous Healthcare is sort of partnering.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Luminous Healthcare is coming. We had a conflict last year. We both had rallies on the same day. We tried to take full advantage of that by making that announcement so that some people who came to the Greenbelt rally actually got over to the Luminous rally.
and got a free mammogram. So that was really very exciting. This year we're going to have a speaker, Dr. Regina Hampton. She's a local breast surgeon, very well-known breast surgeon. She's built up a beautiful program over at Doctors Hospital, and she's going to come and say a few words, and she will also have a table so people can go over and ask her questions, things like that. She'll stick around for a little bit, and yeah. Any other questions?
Questions or comments? I think it's going to be a wonderful event. Sounds like a whole lot of fun, wonderful day. So I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, we're going to have music, so we're going to make a lot of noise. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that's going to bring us to item number 9, because the minutes, we did those in the consent agenda. So administrative reports. Mr. Samaran, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Good evening, residents. All right, we've had an exciting week. I'll start off with Labor Day festivities. We had a great turnout, no incident, which is our primary focus, having a safe event for everyone. The weather was just outstanding. I don't think we could have asked for better weekend. So I want to recognize the work of our Public Works team that did a lot of work to get us prepared for the event, including the completion of this roof for this building. So they were able to get the full re-roofing done ahead of the festivities, so that parking lot wouldn't be interrupted for all the folks.
Roof. We actually had there's a couple of leaks here in the meeting. We had to have a bucket back there in the control room for a while there.
Yes. I was worried that we were going to have buckets all over the place on the second floor. But we got to it. Public Works took care of it. We had to flip them. Public Works did a great job. So did all of our other teams. Recreation put together a great schedule. Special shout out to our park rangers who were on site all over the place. So if you saw them, great. If you didn't see them, great. But know that they were all around the festivities with first aid kits and AEDs just in case anything happened. Our police department also did an outstanding work in ensuring the safety of everyone. And special shout out to the teens. They're all well behaved this celebration. So I feel blessed we have well behaved teens, and they were out in full force and enjoying themselves. So
I think the Labor Day Festival really did. The committee did a phenomenal job of pulling everything together. It's I mean, the city we support. But most of the organizing, they pull it together somehow. So it's phenomenal.
Yes, it's amazing. I don't know how they do it. Great work. A few things to update council on. We have submitted the comment letters to the USDA regarding the organization plan. I want to thank the Greenbelt News Review. They provided a very thorough summary of the letter provided by council. An update on that, we have received acknowledgement by the USDA that the letter was received. There's also a 30-day extension to the comment period, so it's now September 30th. So if council has additional comments that it would like to submit officially, I welcome those. And let us know if you want us to do anything else beyond what we've done. We posted a copy of a letter on the website, social media. The newspaper covered it. We also posted the notice of the extension. Now moving on to business, we have a meet and greet scheduled with the interim superintendent for October 14th. This is the same date that the interim superintendent will have a public listening session at Dora Kennedy, and that starts at 6 p.m. So welcome feedback from council who will be attending to that. As a reminder, we have asked for a public work session on this, and just the timing has been difficult to coordinate with superintendent, and we can discuss it further in the review of the meetings. The indoor pool deck repairs are on schedule, so the team's been working diligent to keep that project on schedule. We will deliver that on September 29th. Andrew and Greg are in the audience, and so we're excited that that's on schedule. A few change in programs are coming up, particularly the EV charging station. As you are aware, we have a level 3 station here at the municipal building. It's been malfunctioning since July. It is scheduled for removal at the end of the month. I see it as an improvement. While we're losing a level 3 station, we are going to get 2 level 2 stations. And this is possible because of a bill bond that was submitted and approved several years ago for EV charging stations. So we'll be able to utilize the bond money for those improvements. So the new program will be 2 dual port level 2 stations. So while the participants will have slower charging speeds, we're going to be able to serve a greater number of people and in a more equitable charging model. We're moving from a time-based charging model to a per kilowatt usage model. I plan to bring legislation to council at the next meeting that would authorize the program and the charging rates. So in terms of timeline, the machine's expected to be removed at the end of the month. We're working with our partner EVI for that, and the 3 to 4 weeks after that, we plan to install the 2 level 2 charging stations.
Just a question on that. Is there any additional, because we had talked at one point, I believe, in a work session with Chief Bowers about the possibility of needing additional legislation related to the EV chargers. Is there anything, like just making sure that we have all the right things in our city code related to that? Is there anything we need to follow up on related to that?
Preferably, yes. We're currently working through a recodification, and that allows us to make updates to the code, and I'm hopeful that we'll capture that code update through that process. There is existing state legislation that Chief Bowers referenced that we could utilize for the enforcement of the EV charging stations. I am not concerned about I think we can address it through the existing state legislation, and we'll update our own city code through the recodification process.
Okay, thank you.
All right, a few other updates. We have rolled out the Microsoft 365 applications. As I think we reported previously that we are on these computer-based softwares. We're now moving to the subscription model. We have made the updates to everyone in the municipal building. Council will be part of one of the groups that will make those upgrades. For many of you that you are already using the online applications, you're not going to see an impact because you're already using the subscription-based model. This is for the applications that you're using on your desktop. So if you're using Outlook on your desktop, using Microsoft and all those, we're going to upgrade that application from Office 2019 to Microsoft Office 365, which is subscription-based, and it's a major improvement. So. Mr. Mayor and Council, I'll take any questions you may have on the rest of the report.
See, I think do we have some introductions, do you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm excited that after an extensive search for our next city treasurer, we have onboarded Mr. Ronald Covington. He's standing here in the audience. Ronald, do you want to come up to the podium? Mr. Covington is a finance professional with over 20 years of extensive experience in the field. Most recently, he was a program manager at Advanced Employee Intelligence in Washington, D.C. He's also served in executive roles at the D.C. Government Department of Transportation, where he oversaw billions in funding for infrastructure projects. I don't want to steal your thunder. Mr. Covington, you want to?
Well, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor Jordan and council members and community members as well. I am excited for this position. I'm very happy to take on this role and this responsibility. Like my boss said, the city manager there, I have over 20 years of finance experience in both public and private sector as well, working with both finance as well as budgeting as well. So I'm excited to bring my talent and experience here to the city of Greenbelt in this role, and I'm excited to be a part of this team. My office is right downstairs. If anyone wants to see me, I'm right downstairs. I keep my door open. I'm just excited to be a part of this and working with the public and ensuring that we have a great budget year. We're financially sound, accurate. Yes, that's it. So thank you so much.
Okay, welcome, Mr. Cobb. We're going to hold you to that.
I'm up for the challenge.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
let's see, I do have a question. So a while back in May, April, we were, we voted to, to install some more bike racks there at the co-op, in front of the co-op. And I'm just wondering when can we expect to have those in place?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have ordered the bike racks. We did go through a design process, and I think some of the issues we're looking at, the easiest thing to do there would have been to pour concrete, and there were some concerns about the water displacement of doing a concrete pour. So the team spent some time in investigating the best option there. We settled on what's called a grasscrete, which is a pavement system. Actually, you might have seen it at the animal shelter. When we did you remember that little area, waiting area? So that's a grasscrete concept, which allows a hard surface and penetration of water. So that's what the team settled on. We were looking at contracting options, and then ultimately the team decided that it's in the interest of both Public Works and the city for us to install it ourselves. So we'll be installing that. I believe Ms. Terry Ruby is online. I don't know if she's available to weigh in, but I'll check with the team. I'm hopeful that now that we are through the Labor Day festivities, that we can get this installed September, October of this year.
That would be fantastic. There's a beautiful tree that I guess has been planted recently there in front of the co-op. And it'd be nice to kind of get that all in place.
I'll check with the team. We are also expanding the parking area. So instead of just having one stall, we're going to have two. The team is looking at maximizing the space. I'll check in on the tree. But we love our trees. We'll move it if need to, but we'll certainly keep as much vegetation and trees as possible, which is one of the reasons why we're doing the grasscrete concept too. It's just we don't want to just pave over it.
Very good, council member.
Yeah, this is actually with regards to the petition earlier from our Public Works staff. What would be the next steps that we need to move towards granting them or recognizing their right to bargain? Because I do want us to move at, deliberate speed to make sure that they're able to, because it takes a while to bargain a contract and all that, and I want to make sure that they have, that we're moving at a pace so that they can get started as soon as possible.
There's an administrative process. One is to look at the history of how the last CBA process was established. I believe there was a resident vote involved in that process. Mr. Mayor or Mr. Roberts or Ms. Pope, I believe you were here for that. So there's that process that they followed previously. I've discussed the matter with our Director of Human Resources and am engaging our legal team to talk through the process. So that will be the next step for us. I think several comments were made tonight and have been made in the past that council has the authority through its own power to change the charter on its own to create a process for collective bargaining agreement, not just for Public Works, but for any group of employees in the organization.
Correct. So could we move forward with trying to draft that charter amendment?
If that's on council's wishes, we can propose a charter, the draft language for a charter amendment.
I mean, that's my wish that we would do that.
Yes. So if council were to direct us to do so, we will get with the legal team and provide such draft language to you.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so should I make a motion?
Welcome that.
Yeah, I make a motion that staff draft a charter amendment to allow all city staff, all non-managerial city staff to participate in collective bargaining.
And
Okay. Is that a point of order, Mr. Roberts?
Would you like me to add it to the agenda for vote?
I think we should follow the protocol that we have, yeah.
What should be, I should add?
We should add that to the agenda and
Okay.
then discuss it.
Okay.
Then we can give staff direction
Okay.
that way.
Item number.
Great, yes, then I'd like to, then I move we add an item to the agenda to discuss.
Just for clarification, you're adding it to the agenda tonight for discussion or a future agenda?
I'd like to add it tonight.
I would also second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So that will be item, sorry, just for clarification, 21. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Councilmember.
I have another question about the administrative report. I had gotten some questions related to the next phase in putting the additional seating in the Central Park area for Greenbelt Station, as well as what is the timing for the next study for the Indian Creek Trail. Is there any update that you have on that status?
I do to the second part of the question. I will have to get with the team on the seating, but with regarding the concepts for the Indian Creek Park, we do have a proposal, and it's a matter of scheduling to bring that to council. So I'll discuss it with the team, particularly Ms. Ruby, to see when if that's ready to come to council at the September 22nd meeting or later meeting. Mhm.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I just a very small comment, and I wanted to congratulate or applaud whoever did that beautiful timing of the road work. If it was a combination of you and Mr. Kim, but just that everything finished up with the stormwater management before the roads got ground, and then Labor Day Festival happened, and then as soon as the fair was out of town, the roads started getting ground. So just, I masterfully planned. Thank you for doing that so well.
Thank you, Ms. Niesel. Teamwork. I think part of it is having good partnership with the contractor. I know previously there's been some headaches around timing, and Mr. Kim has done a good job of fostering those relationships and getting the contractors to adhere to our schedule. So it's working well. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
That reminds me of another compliment to pass along, actually. After the Labor Day parade, the car that the Greenbelt Rotary Club was driving wouldn't start again, and so it was parked sort of right off the end of the parade route. And I believe Public Works came and helped get that started again and got them moving again after the parade. So that was much appreciated. And I think the Rotary Club would like to do something in appreciation for that we can talk about details later. But that was notable. It was a lovely vehicle, but I guess had some issues, like the poor vintage fire truck that morning. So.
Our troubles on Labor Day.
Thank you for the compliments.
Okay, if there are no additional comments, let's go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the section is legislation. And this is a resolution to implement the Save As You Throw, SAYT program, and adjust solid waste collection fees. This is for second reading and adoption. Ms. Weaver, you had introduced this resolution for first reading at the August 11th regular council meeting, and the resolution is presented for council's consideration for a second reading, approval, discussion. So at this time, would you like to reintroduce that resolution for second reading?
Yes, so I would like to introduce for second reading and adoption a resolution of the Council of the City of Greenbelt to authorize implementation of a 12-month Save As You Throw solid waste collection pilot program effective January 1st, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so discussion. I think we should have a little discussion. Anybody want to comment on that, or are there individuals here that want to make a point or remark? I think Dr. Robles brought a couple of bags with her, but Councilmember McKinney.
It's more of a question around, I know that Green Aces was at the Labor Day Festival, and I was wondering what types of questions you may have gotten from the community, and were there any other points of clarification that you were able to make with residents? I know we had gotten at the council table some questions about it.
Yes, Mr. Summerone.
Thank you, Mr. Red. Thank you, Ms. McKinney, for your questions. I'll just from a process perspective, it doesn't sound like we need to do an overview of the project. I think we're just ready to go into the discussion, and so just to
We've had a few conversations about it at this point.
Okay, all right, excellent. Okay, so that's a relief, I would say, to all of us, because we were prepared to go through another whole presentation. So we'll just jump into the questions. Thank you.
I would just say my comment would just be that this has been so thoroughly discussed. I'm incredibly impressed with the process that has gone through the many questions residents have asked, which have been amazing. I mean, I didn't know anything about this program going into it, and now I know so much. So thanks to Councilmember Weaver and city staff for all they've done to make sure that the word has gotten out.
Excellent, thank you. All right.
So, hi, Luisa Robles, Sustainability Coordinator. And some of the questions that we got were kind of on the extreme ends of the spectrum. People that looking at the bag said, I'm going to have to go max trash. And we're like, well, that's fine. You know, if you feel like you're going to produce more than what's going to be reasonable for you to pay on bags, then you can always get the max trash sticker. We don't want this to be complicated for anyone. And actually, the program does take into account the fact that some people will not be part of the buying the bags, the save as you throw, but getting the max trash. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the people that said, I don't even put out one of the small bags every week. So I'm going to be like buying these bags and they're going to be thrown out. And, you know, we feel bad about all the plastic. So in order to have bags not be collected when they're still, you know, not fully full, we're going to coordinate with Public Works crews so that if people have their trash can in an enclosure or behind their separation area or in their closet or wherever it is they keep their trash can, that if it's not out, to just leave it there because that means that they have a bag that's not fully full. And then if the trash can's out, then they can collect it. So that way, the people that produce very little will feel comfortable with the small bag and set it out every 2 to 3 weeks. Or the people that produce more, they can get the max trash. So we're trying to accommodate everyone.
Mr. Lippert, did you want?
John Lippert, Chair, Green Aces, 30 Ridge Road. Yes, as Louisa just mentioned, we're trying to work both with the residents and the trash collectors. We don't want to put an undue burden on the trash collectors. So that's why we had a meeting last week along with Waste Zero, and we were discussing the details that we're trying to implement, you know, some minor changes. So that was one of them that we had a number of suggestions about. Yeah, I can't keep the garbage in the house for 2 or 3 weeks. But I just have a small amount each week, and I don't want them to come and take it. So, and this is mainly with GHI because they will come into your service closet and take it. And so we're trying to figure out. One person said, "Well, why don't we put a magnet on the door that says no trash pickup this week?" That could have some problems. So we figured the best solution might be just put it out. There's already a requirement that they have to put the recycling out of the service closet or from, you know, the enclosure where they have it. Why not make the trash do the same thing? And it only makes sense that, you know, there's been discussions about doing it that way for a number of years, and it just works real well with the new program. On the other hand, somebody said, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to do Save As You Throw, if I'm going to buy the Max Trash sticker, and we were explaining the details. And we said, well, you just go online, you order the sticker, and it will come in the mail, you know, within so many days. And they said, we don't have a computer. We don't do online. So we were going to discuss with our city manager and our new finance director if the finance department downstairs could sell the Max Trash stickers, and someone could just come to the finance department and they could purchase them right there. When we suggested that, they said, "Oh, sure, that'd be fine. I can just walk to the municipal building." So we haven't discussed that with the city yet, but there were certain things like that. I was surprised that the number of people that knew about it and had a lot of the details were talking about it. And oh yeah, I was at the town hall meeting, or yeah, I've seen you, you know, at the city council meetings and that. So that was encouragement. But then on the other hand, there were some people that, no, I didn't know anything about it. Well, good, then let's talk about it. And we've done not only the PowerPoint presentation that we showed you here about a month ago, but we put it into an animation form. It's a video right now. We're hoping to also get some audio to it. And we had that on the computer at the stand there at, well, it wasn't the Public Works, it was the recycling. There was no Public Works booth this year at the Labor Day Festival, but Louisa was there with the recycling and composting. And then we had a tent there also to describe the Save As You Throw. And
Appreciate the
so-
outreach you've done. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, I think, had his hand up first.
Thank you, I appreciate it. When can GHI members expect that they'll no longer be paying the refuse fee through our co-op fee? Because
They will-
the city is gonna bill each member directly now?
No, because of the problems with having two fees and everything like that, it was decided that the base fee will go down to $240 a year. Right now, everyone is paying $280 a year for trash collection if they get city trash collection. It's going to go down to $240 and divide that by 12. That will be inside the co-op fee for those that live in GHI. They then will have.
So
to
why,
decide
what
whether-
is the problem with, why is GHI still gonna be involved in the billing? Can you?
They're gonna do it
can
like
you-
they've been doing it.
I know,
except
but
200, instead of $280 a year in your co-op fee, it'll be $240 a year in your co-op fee.
But the last time that we had a meeting and we discussed this, we were told that GHI would no longer be doing the billing at all. That's what we were told.
That was discussed as a possibility, but in consultation with the GHI board, this was what they wanted to do.
Yeah, they were having problems because originally we were proposing two different fees. One for if you participated in Save As You Throw, and one if you didn't. And they just had a problem with having to do two different billing amounts for those that participated and those that didn't. They said that was just going to be too hard on them. This way, it's going to be exactly the way they do it now. Everybody gets billed the same amount, and then they didn't have a problem with that.
Wouldn't it be easier if GHI did not have to be involved at all? Because it's called, beyond the trash, the amount that we're paying for the trash pickup, GHI members are paying the staff to do that. So it is a burden on the GHI members beyond what we pay for the trash.
They're paying the members to do what? I'm sorry.
We're paying personnel to do that work. To do the billing, that takes man hours for them to do that.
So,
and it costs each member, money for them to do that.
So,
It's
Mr.
gonna be a lot
Roberts,
harder though for GHI members.
I think the city should take,
Well,
the
so, Mr.
city should
Roberts-
do all the billing.
Mr. Roberts,
Wait a minute.
I'm trying to answer your question.
Well, let me finish. I believe that the GHI staff should not have to be involved at all, period.
So, Mr. Roberts, at a previous meeting, you brought up the point that we had not done enough consultation with the GHI board. We have now done that consultation, and this is if we can go back and look at the recordings, we have now consulted with the GHI board, and this is the plan that they preferred. So you asked for that outreach to happen with the GHI board. It did. We arranged it in the way that GHI preferred. So that, and I think one of the things that we are going to have to make sure, I think this is one of the confusion points that has definitely come up with several residents that I've talked to, is the base fee, but then you're paying the rest of your trash fee through buying the bags or the Max Trash sticker. And I think this is a really important point, because people look at the price of the bags and we're like, well, I can get way cheaper plastic bags than this. But that's because you're paying for the rest of your trash fee through that. So that's something that I would say, expect that point of confusion. And if you get that question, because I think that is probably going to be one of the key things that's going to come up.
So I'd like to follow up up on that and say Mr. Roberts' question is addressed by the GHI board. And that was the decision the GHI board took to remain doing the billings as they have up until now.
Well, the problem
That's
is
their
there,
decision.
the problem is there was no discussion between the board and the members about that.
That's
So,
up to GHI
yeah,
and the board.
I
and the
understand,
members.
yeah. But I have one more question. What happens when someone is paying the minimum that GHI is gonna charge, and they don't put any bags out for a week or 2 weeks or however long it is?
What was the question again?
They don't have to get trash collection every single week. That's why we were discussing if they put their cans out of the service closet or from the enclosure, it will get picked up. If they leave it in the enclosure or the service closet, it will not be picked up. And there were a number of people that said, I don't produce enough of trash to fill one of those small 8-gallon trash cans every week. And they were the ones that, insisted that, well, I'm only going to do it every other week. That's fine. But they can't not get trash picked up. And we discussed this at our meeting last week. The trash collectors make a point. They have a chart where they mark down, so-and-so did not put their trash out this week. And if it goes on and on and on and on, we're going to know that they're taking their trash someplace else and they're trying to avoid the system, and it's going to be addressed.
Well, I don't think anyone wants to leave their trash in the bin for 2 weeks.
Mr. Roberts,
It's gonna be a problem there.
thank you. Just one question. So, with the payments, will the participants have to pay all the money at once, or with GHI, were they breaking it up month to month, or is it all at once?
No, it's always broken into 12 equal parts and goes into the monthly co-op fee.
Okay,
That's for
so
the base fee.
And
that's
for
gonna
the, for the
continue,
non-GHI members, we'll continue to do the billing as we currently do it, which is a quarterly basis.
So in terms of paying, nothing is going to change in GHI or the city. The only thing that's changing is that we're now paying a lower fee. And then the other part of the fee is either the bags or the sticker. And we're hoping that the stickers will be available on Waste Zero's website and to have some in finance for people that don't want to access the web.
Right. Oh, well, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, if there are more questions, but I think just to get into a little bit of the next steps, I think that would be where, if, assuming that we pass this ordinance this evening, can you talk about the next steps with Waste Zero and so on?
Well, one of the first next steps is to contact the retailers to set up an agreement with them so that they will provide the bags and understand how the system is going to work. And just for your information, we discussed this last week, there's going to be a drop box where when the, okay, make sure I get this right. When the store buys the city approved bags, that money will go into a drop box, and then most of that will come back to the city, and a part goes for administering the program by Waste Zero. And then the store gets reimbursed whenever they sell the bags. So we were glad to hear that it's fairly easy for the stores. So that's going to be one of the next steps. The other next step is we were happy to find the number of people that were aware of this, but we know that there are plenty of other people in the city that are not aware of this, and we've got a major outreach campaign that we intend to do. And once this is approved, we're going to go into full speed ahead. It's going to be our largest outreach campaign that we've ever done on anything here. Do you have anything else to add?
No, educational campaign is the next big step.
Okay, City Manager Summerall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If council approves this tonight, in addition to the promotion, there are a lot of administrative things that we will need to do on there, and billing rates and MOUs, and just creating an administrative process for all this work. So some of those things are going to be defined over the next almost 4 months that we have to implement this program. So expect to see an MOU with the Way Zero partnership and other actions for council to take. But your approval, should you approve this tonight, that gives us direction that we're moving forward with this program and we now enter the implementation phase.
Yeah, thank you so much. So are there any other questions from the public here? Mr. Orleans, is there anybody online?
I don't see any hands raised online, no.
Orleans, once again, I don't wish to denigrate that portion of the Public Works Department working with Green Aces and the Friends of Green Aces, or whatever they're called, effort. I still don't understand the program, but that's not why I wish to speak. I wish to restate that residents of the city have an obligation to dispose of their trash, their compostables, their recyclables in the appropriate way. It's the city's responsibility to collect that in a responsible way. And I wish, again, to ask city management to do a study of taking over the city, assuming responsibility for the collection of all recyclables, all refuse from throughout the city, resident and commercial, residential address and commercial address alike. I think in the long run, the city is going to benefit from doing that, but the study needs to be made in order to convince council to pass an ordinance to do that. In the meantime, I understand that there have been consultations between the GHI board and somebody. I heard Councilmember Roberts say there was no consultation between the GHI board and members. I don't know if that's accurate or not, since I'm no longer a member in good standing of GHI. However, if there have been consultations between city management and or council with the GHI board, that's news to me, and that should have been done publicly so that residents of GHI, as well as residents of Greenbelt at large, would know what agreements have been made between the GHI board and the city. Thank you. I ask again for that analysis to be made. If the city manager
Hey, well, thank you very
doesn't
much.
do it on his own, I ask
There's
council
been no
to direct him to do it.
consultation with City Council and the GHI board. Mr. Summerall.
There were lots of questions in there. I don't know which ones you want me to weigh in on. I would say that with the vision, and I've shared this with several council members, and I think I made a public statement about the vision for our waste collection. I think that the city and its residents will be well served by us looking at doing waste collection for the entire city. This is a conversation that predates me, predates I think everyone in the senior team at the organization, and it's worth revisiting that topic. The city a long time ago decided that it would offer services to select portions of the city. There's a reasoning for it. A lot of it has to do with capacity to serve the city. It's capacity that it's difficult to build. It's not going to happen overnight. It requires a long-term plan. I welcome the opportunity to discuss that with council because I think that the future of our waste collection service, not just for our community, but globally, is to reduce our landfill waste and also look for economies of scale, and that's bringing more customers to our service. It creates efficiencies.
Yeah, that's certainly true. It's a discussion to be had with the various entities in the city, the multifamily apartment units, and developments. They're private property, so we should certainly reach out to the homeowners associations, the apartment developments, and the condominium associations, and have the discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, Mr. Orleans also made reference to a study. I think it's certainly something we can hire. I think that we have limited capacity to do an in-depth study, but if council wishes to fund a study on this topic and not just a study, but also a business plan or strategic plan accompanying it, then we welcome that. We welcome the support for that.
Very good. If there are no additional comments, I think that we should go ahead and call the roll on this resolution.
Ms. Niesel,
Yes.
Ms. McKinney,
Yes.
Ms. Pompey,
Yes.
Ms. Pope, Mr. Roberts, Ms. Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Yeah, so congratulations. This is a great step forward. It's a pilot project, so we'll see how it works out and we'll move forward. Thank you for all of your work.
Really, so much work, you guys. Thank you.
There's more to come.
Okay, at this time, let's move on to item number 14, which is item number 12, which is an ordinance to make a supplemental appropriation for fiscal year 2026 for the Resident Composting Service Program. And the proposal is for first reading, suspension of the rules, and then to move to second reading and adoption. So enclosed in the packet for the public and for council is an ordinance proposing a supplemental appropriation to the general fund, Public Works Department, and that would be account number 011-40-40-50-000-525-899-00. That's the account number in the amount of $26,205 for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. This appropriation is intended to fund the continuation of the city's resident composting program, which provides weekly household organic waste collection, hauling, and processing services to participating households. It's recommended the council introduce the ordinance, suspend the rules, and adopt the ordinance at this meeting. So, would one of you like to introduce the ordinance?
I move for first reading and suspension of the rules of an ordinance to make a supplemental appropriation to the general fund DPW account 011-40-450-000-525-899-00 for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026 in the amount of $26,205 for funding to cover the continuation of the resident composting program.
Second.
Okay, actually, I think it's for first reading, so a second is not needed. But this time, someone, another council person, or maybe even you, Mayor Pro Tem, would need to introduce this for second reading, suspension of the rules. I don't think you said that.
I did say suspension of the rules, but do we have to vote for first suspension of the rules first? And then we introduce it for second reading?
Right.
So I think we need to do a vote on the suspension of the rules now.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah,
After
please.
it's introduced for second reading, I think I was schooled on this by Miss Davis. No, I was schooled on this by Miss Davis last time.
I think that Mr. Roberts is about to take a vote. There is discussion. Please, go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Well, I'll wait until the appropriate time, but I just wanted to let you know that I am going to have a question.
Yeah, no, Miss Davis told me last time that we did this wrong, that we're supposed to do the suspension of the rules and vote on it, and then introduce it for second reading before we discussed. So I believe Miss Davis.
Well, you can believe what you want to, but yeah.
That's okay, but go ahead.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Niesel,
Yes.
Ms. McKinney,
Yes.
Ms. Pompey,
Yes.
Ms. Pope, Mr. Roberts, Ms. Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce for second reading and adoption an ordinance to make a supplemental appropriation to the general fund DPW account 011-40-450-000-525-899-00 for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026 in the amount of $26,205 for funding to cover the continuation of the resident composting program.
Second.
Okay. So we've got that in place. Discussion, Mr. Roberts?
Now I can ask my question. So this is going to be for how many households? 400?
410.
410. So I'm going to vote against this motion because I think if we're going to have composting, it has to be for everyone. Everyone in the system has to have a chance to compost. The taxpayers should not, have to pay extra. I think, and as I said before, it should be a part of our fee for that we're paying for waste removal. Everyone should be able to partake in this, not just 400 households.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Yeah, Ms.
It's currently 410, right? But is there the opportunity to add more? I think there was.
I think with the money appropriated, it would only we would only be able to subsidize for 110. But if more people wanted to participate and pay the full amount, then they can participate, and we can take up to 660 if they want to be done in our small composting operation at Trinity, if it is to be taken at the county's facility, then it could be, as many people as want to participate can do it. Also, right now, the 410 is 410 bins. More than 410 households are participating because several households are sharing one bin. In my court, we have 3 bins and we all share the bins. So the entire court participates with 3 bins.
In my court, there are 2 bins, and I don't see anyone participating except for those 2. So I don't think that's a true statement across the board.
Yeah,
Maybe your
excuse
court's a
me.
little different,
Yeah, excuse me,
but
Mr.
I don't
Roberts.
think you can say that.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem.
I think
I wasn't
Ms.
done.
Pope can finish.
So I somewhat agree with Mr. Roberts' statement that using tax monies for this, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I will vote for it because I'm a big fan of composting, right? And I know that in my neighborhood too, some people share the bin because nobody has enough for one single bin. So I do like it. So we'll see how this goes, and hopefully we can expand it next year and offer it to everybody.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and I agree that it would be great to be able to expand the program to the entire city, but I think we have to start somewhere. And I think this is the continuation of the pilot that we had from the USDA. I very much hope that as we get through the Save As You Throw program a little bit further and figure out how that shakes out, we might be able to expand this to include more households as part of the overall waste collection. But we cannot go to 8,000 households right away. That's just not feasible. So we have to start somewhere. So I agree with you, Mr. Roberts. I would like to see us do food scrap pickup at every household in the city of Greenbelt. However, that's a pretty big number to jump to right away.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Roberts, please.
Oh, actually, another point I was going to make is that anybody can actually take their food scraps to Buddy Attic as it is now, so that there is something for everybody to participate, whether they are part of the bin, the door-to-door pickup or not.
Right. I'll just take the personal privilege. So I agree with Mr. Roberts. I'm going to vote and support this to continue the funding for the end of the year. But I very much want to find a way to expand the program so that it is available, particularly to people who live in multi-family developments in the apartments and whatnot. And so somehow we need to expand beyond the compost area at Buddy Attic Park. It is just not adequate. So I strongly feel that we will need to find a way, if we're not able to expand it, we'll have to maybe change the fee so that the people who are using it are paying for it. Otherwise, it's an equity thing. We need to make it available to everyone. Councilmember Pompey.
First, I'd like to say I don't think it's appropriate to raise a point of personal privilege when there are other people who have been waiting to talk.
Well, no, I was waiting to talk myself, so I do think that I have the opportunity to speak just as any other council member.
And well, other people had their hands raised, so I think that you should be, as the chair of the meeting, you should be recognizing others. Second, I will just say, and I've had this conversation with the city manager as well. I mean, I do think the Save As You Throw program is going to increase the desire for people to want to compost. And that's the point, right? The point is that we're trying to reduce the refuse that we put in the landfill. So I do hope that, I'm happy to continue the pilot program at the level we have. I do think that you can't scale up immediately, but I hope that that's something that Public Works will be considering as a plan for, like, how do we scale up? Like, after we finish the Save As You Throw pilot program, if we're continuing it, how then are we going to scale up our composting? Because I do believe there's going to be a lot more demand for that. So, thank you.
Councilmember McKinney.
Sort of building on what Member Pompey was saying, I'm wondering if we can, during this pilot phase, schedule time to talk with the homeowners associations. I know that our homeowners association would love to have the city as on some of the HOA board meetings where you can talk to the communities directly, and then maybe the HOAs can help to try to coordinate the sharing of the bins in each of the communities. So we can kind of use it as a pilot within a pilot to see how we can actually really come together. I know on our street, or at least in my row, there are 2 bins, and we're not coordinating just because we haven't had that communication. But I think the HOA can be very helpful in doing that, and we can sort of test out and look at some data to see if we can increase it from the actual numbers that are in the community of people using it to get to the number that Mr. Roberts is actually talking more about.
Councilmember Niesel, did you have a thought you wanted to share?
No, but thank you for asking.
Mr. Roberts?
Well, I just to point out that I never said 8,000 households. I said the current people who are getting Greenbelt refuse, which is what, 2,200, not 8,000.
I was doing all of the households in Greenbelt. That's the 8,000 number.
Mr. Orleans just pointed out that we're not doing that.
Mr. Summeron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the conversation. It's great dialogue, great conversation about how to address all the waste collection needs. I want to bring us back to the action before you. In a previous meeting, council voted to move forward with the subsidy. This item of legislation really just funds it. You have already previously made a decision to continue the subsidies with customers, existing customers paying $10 to participate in the program. This gives us the authority to bring money into the budget to be able to continue that contractual obligation. In another subsequent agenda item, you will see the contract with Compost Crew to continue that service. So just want to put this in perspective that this enables a previous council action. Those were at the last meeting. I welcome the opportunity to talk about composting services. One of the challenges I've had, because I've been asked by several of you, how do we scale up? How do we do this? And there's some structural challenges because the pilot program, as applied to the USDA, was conceptualized and designed to be an outsourced model, not Public Works collecting the composting. It is an outsourced model, requires that contractor, which here is Compost Crew, to do the pickup and do the processing. The thinking of scaling up requires us to really re-engineer the process and look at our internal capacity. So I love the conversation here and how do we do it? We're facing some real structural challenges. This was designed to operate this way. Changing it requires us to re-engineer the program.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Lippert?
There are an awful lot of great comments there made by Mr. Roberts and Ms. McKinney. You need to understand that during the USDA grant process, the compost pickup, the food scraps pickup was provided free of charge. I was not really deeply involved with promoting this. I know Tom Taylor here and Louisa and some other Green Team members did an awful lot of work to try to promote that, and it still took near the end of the grant period before we reached 410 members. So to say, I'd love that everybody gets compost pickup, but it requires an awful lot of education and outreach to reach out to everybody, and you're still not going to get everyone participating because there are a lot of people that already compost in Greenbelt. If you go around and look in their backyard, you'll see their compost bins. Well, I've got not only my wife has a compost bin, but I've got worm hotels. We do compost. We haven't even participated. We're going to participate in the continuation, but we haven't participated in the grant program because we're already doing our compost. And as was mentioned, the few things that my worms can't take and my wife's worm bin can't take, we take to Buddiatic Park. So that's already there for anybody that really is interested. It's more a question of lack of education or lack of interest. Because yes, we do have, in fact, one of our Green Aces Green Team members lives in Franklin Park, and she has been participating in the grant program. But that's about it. It's hard to get, even when you go out and you tell everybody, they're not interested. They've got more important priorities in their life than to participate in this. So yeah, I'd love to have everyone compost, but you have to understand it's probably never going to get to 100% because people are already doing it in their own way right now. And secondly, not something that is important to them right now. But I'd love to get to that point. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Hartman?
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. I fully support this proposal for composting. I think it's really important. I do have a question, though, about the fact that there must be at least 50 or 60 restaurants or hotels in Greenbelt that also have food services. And I'm wondering if this will ever be possible to be expanded into businesses rather than just residential.
Mr. Summerall, would you like to take a crack at that?
Sure. I think the compost crew, I haven't discussed the matter directly with them, but I think they have capacity to do up to the 600 plus homes. I think additional value could be added up to that capacity, whether that's residential or restaurant. I think the core issue that is before us is the services to the business. If they pay without subsidy, I think that's available. That's available to them now through us or through independent party. If the question is whether they'll participate under a subsidy program, that's a conversation for council or a question to council. Does council want to expand this program under a subsidy model to the restaurants?
Well, if there were an outcry from the businesses that they wanted to do that, the council would, with all likelihood, be very receptive. So, are there any comments online?
No.
Mr. Roberts?
Well, the problem I have is that we want people to recycle as much as possible, whether it be cans and bottles or food scraps. So if you want to charge people more, that's going to be a problem with a lot of people. But if what we're doing by doing a food scrap program, having that a part of our regular refuse pickup, people would be throwing away less refuse. So my argument is we should not have to pay more for that service because we're only trading one for the other. If you're throwing out your food scraps, you're not putting it in the trash. So therefore, we should not have to pay more for that. And it should be a part of everyone's refuse fee. That's the way it should work. We should not have to pay more to get rid of that because then we are throwing out less trash, which is really the food scraps. But if it's going in the trash, it's more trash. So but I don't know why we keep talking about people have to pay more and more and more. We're already taxing our people enough. And I have another problem that I'll talk to you in private about.
Well, thank you so much. So let's go ahead and call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Niesel?
Yes.
Ms. McKinney?
Yes.
Ms. Pompey? Ms. Pope? Mr. Roberts?
No.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
The motion carries 6 in favor, 7 no. One no, I'm sorry. Just thinking about the total.
I do have an unrelated question. So we have a compost bin. We have a couple of them. One is out at the Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center, and there's another one next to the Aquatic and Fitness Center. So those are not being used, I don't think. They're not active, are they? No,
I
they're
think
not.
so. I believe that the one in the center, I think the information about it has been, no, not anymore. That program is done. Those bins do not need to be. They were related to the worm bins, but they are just the same as the bins at Spring Hill Lake. I think there was some possibility of Cheers working with that bin. I'm not sure, and the Center City Garden. I'm not sure if that has been happening, but that is that. I think that's sort of the responsibility for that was transferred to Cheers. The one at Spring Hill Lake, I think there are a few people still dropping off, but that program is not particularly active. That one sort of when people started being able to drop off at Buddy Attic, and then the door-to-door pickup, just the activity around the one at Spring Hill Lake is just not really happening. So I don't think very many people are dropping stuff off there.
I don't think so. And the only reason I ask is, as a resident that recycles or does my food scraps, I really wish that there was a more convenient location in the east where residents can take advantage of the opportunity. And I don't see why we can't just go down to Trinity ourselves and find a way to utilize the same area that compost crew is actually doing the composting for the other food scraps. So,
I
Just
think
be-
that that's a liability issue, people going into a workspace.
Just before we go too far down this road, I just want to add that compost didn't actually have anything to do with the vote that we just voted on. And so I don't want to get too distracted by things that we haven't prepared for or that our staff aren't prepared for.
thank you.
Let's move on, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Ms. Pope, did you?
No, I
okay.
just, so we just voted, so we should move on, right? Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Because rec department's here too, they're waiting anxiously for the next item.
Item number 13 is authorization for the city manager to purchase new fitness equipment for the Greenbelt Aquatic and Fitness Center. So staff is recommending the city council authorize the city manager to purchase new matrix fitness equipment from Johnson Health Tech North America Incorporated at a price of $46,999.50. The FY26 replacement fund budget includes $47,500 for new fitness equipment at the Greenbelt Aquatic and Fitness Center. Staff received the quote for 5 treadmills, 4 recumbent cycles, and 4 elliptical machines. The quoted amount honors pricing based on a rideable Fairfax County contract, which Prince George's County is also piggybacking on for fitness equipment pricing. The new equipment will replace items ranging in age from 11 to 23 years old and ultimately lower the repair cost. So we've got representatives here from the Recreation Department. Mr. Varda, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan. So we brought this to council's attention at the August 11th council meeting. We were seeking approval to purchase 13 pieces of equipment. That was tabled, and we were directed to go back to do a little research on accessibility and fitness equipment. Andrew Phelan, Stephen Parks, and Tyra Smith, the DEI officer, all got together, did some research, and Andrew put this nice memo together for you. I hope you had an opportunity to look through it. I think it's very comprehensive and explains what we have available now. And Andrew and Stephen made a slight tweak to what we're going to purchase, and he can talk about the equipment here if you'd like as well. I would draw your attention to the last paragraph of the memo, and I think it explains things very well from our standpoint, and it simply says, we believe that accessibility looks different for everyone, so staff are always willing to listen to facility users regarding any access challenges they may encounter. Our staff provides guidance on equipment operations to users and can suggest specific equipment based on a user's ability. Additionally, any facility user requiring an aid is permitted to bring that aid into the facility free of charge. And Greenbelt Aquatic Fitness Center is used by a wide range of users, and purchasing the new fitness equipment would surely elevate everyone's experience. So if you have any questions on the memo itself, I'd turn it over to Andrew.
Ms. Pope, you've got your hand up. Are you about to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion, but I also want to thank you for your report because I think it was very thorough. You answered all the questions that we have. You did exactly what we tasked you with. I do appreciate that. I also understand that if we're not approving this very old this purchase in exchange for the old equipment, that the contract that we may miss the opportunity to take part on this contract. So I would like to make a motion that we authorize city manager to purchase new matrix fitness equipment from Johnson Health Tech North America Inc. at a price of $46,999.50, because I truly believe that our old equipment, which is taped up and bandaged, and I mean, and it's very difficult to get on in some of the machines. You do have to, step over it, and so it's not as easy. But this new equipment, as I saw it in your report with pictures and everything that you provided, looks great, and I really look forward to getting some more modern and functional equipment in our facility, which is used by many people.
I'll second that. So, just to make a note that the memo and the information that Mr. Phelan has prepared with Mr. Parks and Mr. Varga was in response to a question from Mr. Hartman at the last meeting. We were poised to approve this, and you asked some questions about universal design. So, Mr. Phelan, can you concisely describe what you've put together so that
Yeah, is it possible to pull the memo up on the screen? That would probably be helpful. Is that possible? So I think it's important to highlight the improved accessibility of the new equipment compared to what it's replacing. Are we able to get it up just for visual sake? So the recumbent cycles that we're replacing, they have, go ahead to page 5. So that's our current recumbent cycles right there. As you can see, that has what's called a step over for access, which is, could be a tripping hazard. That seat does not swivel out. So it's a little harder for those with stability issues to sit down in it. So if you scroll down a little bit, you will see that's our new recumbent cycle that has a step through design. So you can just step right through and sit down. Much easier access. Go ahead and scroll down. So those are our existing treadmills. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you will see that's the old control console of our treadmills. Much smaller buttons, much smaller screen. If you scroll down, you can see our new treadmills. So we did make a modification to our order. The one on the left is a treadmill with a lower deck height by 2 inches compared to the other one. And as you can see, it also has the extended handrails. That's, appropriate for anybody with stability issues. So one of our 5 new treadmills will be that one with the extended handrails. And then you can see the improved console here. The buttons are much bigger, the numbers are much bigger, and I don't think the photo captures it, but there's also raised, you can barely see it there. There's raised yellow buttons, tactile buttons, and those are for the main controls for speed and changing the incline. Okay, go ahead and scroll down. So these are our old ellipticals. Appreciate the laughter. May or may not have been intentional. And those have, again, kind of similar to the recumbent cycle, they have a step over design, and I can even struggle getting on one of those. So the new ones have, again, the step through or the step behind design where you can just walk straight right through, get both feet on pretty much at the same time. And again, that you can see the larger buttons in the console on that one for adjusting the main control adjustments there. And those are raised, high contrasting yellow color for those that may be a bit visually impaired. And scroll on down. No, okay. So these are just some other elements. I think we're talking about the fitness center, but our pools also offer great fitness to varying abilities. So we wanted to highlight that as well. We obviously have, unfortunately, we took the picture during construction. That's the indoor pool ramp with the railings, our outdoor pool ramp. We have a pool access chair. I don't know how many of you were aware of that. And then, of course, if you scroll down a little bit more, we have our motorized pool lift in the outdoor pool. again, just kind of highlighting some of our elements that we have for access for all our patrons.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the visual presentation. I think you've pointed out some important features that are a part of this proposed purchase. So, Mayor Pro Tem and of course Mr. Hartman wants to speak.
Yeah, I want to echo what Ms. Pope said. I really appreciate you going through and looking at these things and making some changes where needed. I think it demonstrates that a lot of the things had more accessibility features. It's just a question of sort of a habit of mind of thinking in that way. And I know, in my own experience doing accessibility things for videos and social media and stuff at work, once it becomes a habit, it's a lot easier. So I thank you for humoring us, and even though many of the same things are the things that you presented to us before, but going through the process to do the analysis. And next time it'll be much easier. It'll be much more of a habit of mind in terms of the next equipment. You'll think, oh yeah, that's right. You'll remember Michael Hartman and think, oh yeah, we should check and make sure that this equipment is accessible. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Hartman?
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. I'm not opposed to this purchase at all right now. I'm going to get really clear, and I appreciate all the effort that went into looking at this question. And as usual, the city staff has been extraordinary in their efforts to help people with disabilities. So I really applaud the whole staff and Mr. Verda's staff in doing this. I do have a question though. In the memo, it said that your staff consulted with local fitness centers, and I would hope that it didn't mention anything about approaching organizations of people with disabilities who specialize in fitness and recreation. And I'm hoping that next time that you consult them as well, because I think that there are several organizations that look at these questions, and they're very happy to provide assistance in those areas. So, and I think that asking people with disabilities themselves what they need, what they like, it would be very helpful in the future. But again, the staff has come through very well, and I really want to express my deep appreciation for that. And maybe they'll start making equipment that is more universally designed. And I think that when the time comes, you'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, is that a resolution? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 14 is approval of agreement to sell compost output equipment to Compost Crew. So enclosed in the packet for the public and council is an agreement between the City of Greenbelt and Compost Crew, a Bethesda, Maryland corporation. This agreement outlines the terms under which Compost Crew proposes to purchase the shipping containers and other materials from the city that are at Trinity Church in Greenbelt. So, Mr. City Manager, would you like to speak on this?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is pretty straightforward as part of the negotiations of how to proceed with this closing out the USDA grant. One of the ways that we identify a way to fund the continuation of the program is through the sale of the containers themselves. We have been provided a fair offer for the acquisition of those containers, and that is taking the purchase price of the containers and accounting for depreciation in the time that they've been used, and that comes out to the amount that the Compass Crew is purchasing the containers from us. That purchase value is being credited to the continuation of the composting program. So that is another subsidy going into the program. As a reminder, the city did not pay directly for these containers. It was covered entirely through the USDA grant for the pilot program.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I move to authorize the agreement to sell the compost outpost equipment to Compost Crew.
Second.
Okay, is there a discussion? Anybody online? I don't see anyone. If there's, oh, Mr. Roberts, please.
Well, I don't think that we should be offering a depreciation on those compost bins. They want to buy them, they should pay us our cost to them, for them.
Okay. Any other comments? Let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, the motion carries 6-1. Let's see, item number 15 is to, I'm sorry, yeah. Item number 16 is to authorize the city manager to execute a contract for composting services. So enclosed in the packet tonight for council and the public is an agreement between the City of Greenbelt and Compost Crew regarding the City of Greenbelt's food scrap composting program. Council approval is sought.
So I would like to move to authorize the city manager to execute the contract for composting services with Compost Crew.
Second, Mr. Summerall, could you just briefly describe the contract?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This contract is to continue the composting program as previously approved by council, and that includes 2 actions that council has taken. One at the previous meeting where council took a vote to continue the subsidy program and the composting program under a model where the participants will pay $10 and the city will subsidize the difference, which in total for the remainder of the fiscal year is going to be $26,000, what council just approved tonight. So this contract enables those 2 other actions that council has taken.
Right, so this is going to take us through the end of the fiscal year, through June the 30th, 2026. And in order to continue the program after that, we'll have to take a look at it in the budget. It'll be probably, you'll probably present it as a part of the budget next year.
This is an item that we will discuss with council. I don't know what the total expenditure will look like because there's a couple moving pieces as part of this program. We have the Save As You Throw program. We're going to collect data on that. We're also going to see what the participation is going to be for the remainder of the period of the composting program. There's some concern that because there's a new fee being implemented, that's going to change the number of participants. We're going to watch out for that. There's also a big push to get folks to share bins, as some parts of the city are doing. So there are a few data points that we need to collect to have a proposal for council for the next budget cycle.
So it's related to the other items, and we'll have to take a look, the pilot program, just take a look at how everything is falling together, as you've just said.
Correct.
Yeah. So second, is there any comment, anyone from the public wishing to make a comment? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Well, congratulations.
Lots of compost items tonight.
Yes.
All of them were necessary. They accomplished different pieces of the work.
Composting this week.
Okay, item number 16 is approval of referendum questions for the 2025 City Council election. At the last council meeting, the Board of Elections prepared draft resolution questions for council's review concerning potential charter amendments regarding ranked choice voting and term limits. Following discussion, council directed that the questions proceed to the ballot with revisions, potential revisions. So enclosed in the packet for the public and for council are the proposed revisions to the referendum questions for placement on the November 4th ballot, 2025. Council approval is sought. I think I saw Steve Gilbert online earlier. He's online. I'd like to invite him to, if he's there, to make comments. If not, we can kind of look at the language. Mayor Pro Tem, you proposed some 2 scenarios.
Yeah, so I think at the last discussion, Ms. McKinney had suggested that it might be better to break up the text into bullet points as being a little bit easier to read. And so So she had suggested some bullet points for the ranked choice voting portion. And then what I did was tweak that a little bit, but also added bullet points for the current system description. But then in conversations, I think, this is the balancing point between how much do you put on the ballot versus how much you do as voter education ahead of time. It is still kind of a lot to put on the ballot. So the other option is down at the bottom, and I have to say I give some credit to my lawyer husband for this, who said that it should either be all the detail you need or kind of like the low level. So if you can scroll down, Miss Anderson, the other option is a very simple description for the ballot, those 2 sentences, but leave the detailed work to not being on the ballot itself, but being part of what we know will be a lot of voter education needed ahead of time and could be available at the polling place, but might not be on the ballot itself. So I think those are 2 options, sort of. And I will say that the bullet points would not necessarily allow somebody to do all of the calculations for ranked choice voting themselves, but would also but I think gives a better sense of the process, whereas the very short description is just sort of the very high level. I see Michelle Whitaker from Ranked Choice Voting in the room. She also gave some good feedback. She was at the Labor Day Information Day as well, and was already talking to Greenbelt residents about how this all works. So that's sort of the summary of. I'd say those are 2 options that we can look at in terms of what to put on the actual ballot.
Well, very good, very good. Mr. Gilbert, are you there?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Would you like to say anything about, you've looked over these revisions. I don't know if the Board of Elections has been able to opine on the revisions. So any thoughts off the top of your head?
No, well, the board didn't really look at this as a board. Just speaking for myself, I'm in favor of the shorter version, just for purposes of putting it on the ballot.
Okay. Well, let's see if someone would like to make a motion, or if there are any changes that anyone would like to make to the language. We can look at that now.
Which version are you voting on for the ballot?
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I think I would move the short version, the very simple description as what appears on the ballot. I would make that motion.
Second that.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion on that? Hearing none and not seeing anyone online, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. The motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. Thank you for being here tonight.
And I just I don't know that we need to make any changes on the second advisory referendum. I included it here because I prepared some of these things to talk to voters at Labor Day, but that we already had made those changes. I don't think, unless anybody wants to propose changes, but the second referendum questions are much simpler.
Yes, I suppose so.
At least in wording.
Yeah. Would someone like to make a motion on that second statement? We just voted on the first one.
I don't think we need to, because that's the language that was approved last time.
Did we vote on that last time?
We did.
Okay. Okay. We
there for reference because
we do have a comment, Mr. Orleans.
I made it. I'm a little unclear of what council disagreed doesn't require a vote, but if we're talking about referendum number 2, I'd like to speak to this. Were we talking about the second part of referendum
Yes.
number 1?
No, we're talking about number 2.
Referendum number 2. Well, in addition to my objection, there has been very much discussion over recent years by one person in town about extending the term of council office. There's been no general discussion on the part of council, and certainly no, in open session at least, and certainly no general discussion among residents in town, something that has been requested since this first preached from somewhere a couple of years ago, this idea. But as I've suggested in the past, if we're going to have a question on the ballot, it's non-binding. Council could override whatever the majority answering this question says. But if we're going to have a question on the ballot saying, shall we extend the term from 2 years to 4 years, we should have and recall if it's extended, we should have a question on the ballot saying, shall we reduce the term of office from 2 years to 1 term with appropriate recall provision? I object to this going on the ballot in this language since there's been no general discussion among the public as to the appropriateness of extending this term of office. There's only been discussion pushed by one member of council.
Well, thank you. Mr. Roberts?
So are these really referendums, or are these the questionnaire? Because
Non-binding ballot question.
because I don't think that our questionnaire is really a referendum. Because a referendum to me means that there would be a lot more preparation and information allowed to the citizens before they vote. So, but we're using both of those words together, approval of referendum questions, so that kind of denotes it's on the questionnaire. So is it on the questionnaire or is it separate from the questionnaire?
It's a non-binding ballot question. It's not a referendum. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, so Mr. Roberts, these two questions would go on the ballot as we did with non-resident, with resident, non-citizen, not all resident voting, all resident voting previously, as well as I believe the one before that was the Reparations Commission, and I think before that was the 16 and 17-year-old voting. Those were all presented as advisory referenda on the ballot itself. The community survey is the questions for that are separate in that longer sort of 2-page document. So it is what we voted on last time was to place these two advisory referenda on the ballot, and then but Ms. McKinney had asked to think about the language and simplify the language for the ranked choice voting, and so that's why we brought it up again this time. So to answer Mr. Orlean's question, we already voted on advisory referendum number 2 with that language last meeting. There was just a request to think about the simplifying the language for the ranked choice voting question this meeting before it goes on the ballot itself.
And to the question about the amount of public dialogue that's taken place over the past few years, that's the purpose of these questions, really to engender the public's response and feelings about the questions. So, Mr. Hartman, you have a question?
Michael Hartman, 2 Court Garden Way. One question about the fact that the question about the about voting in districts or at large, that will be on the ballot as well, or has that been taken off consideration?
That's not it's not on the ballot. No.
Okay, because that was included in the package that was sent out.
Nobody made a motion, no council member made a motion to add that as an advisory referendum.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the most important question I have is Mayor Pro Tem put together a sample of ranked choice voting with ice cream flavors.
I don't have the results yet. I'm working on it. I will say, I believe the top 2 were chocolate and mint chocolate chip. I can give that preview of the results. At least in terms of like raw number of overall, like raw number of first choice votes, but I haven't done the full processing yet. So coming very soon.
I assume that when put into practice, the election results will be known much
Yes, much quicker. Well, Yeah, there's more people working on it when it's the actual election and not just me. Although to make up for it, maybe we can arrange to have the winning ice cream flavor, have an event with the winning ice cream flavor samples. So, yeah.
Okay, so we voted on the one item. Let's move on to item number 17, which is the Community Relations Advisory Board recommendation report for the community questionnaire. CRAB, the Community Relations Advisory Board, submitted a report in response to the City Council's referral regarding proposed changes to the community questionnaire submitted by a city resident. Staff has reviewed CRAB's report and supports the recommended revisions. It's recommended that Council approve the inclusion of CRAB's recommended questions and changes in the 2025 questionnaire. So can we put these minor revisions, it's going to be a little hard to see, but can we put it up on the screen? So the community questionnaire traditionally has been administered during voting, during the election, but in the recent past, we've also broadened it so that people can fill out the questionnaire online. Also, if someone, I believe we actually said this, if someone came to the office, they could fill it in, they could fill out the paper copy as opposed to going online if that's the preference. But you can see the questionnaire. How many pages is it?
It's 4 pages, but we do it 11 by 17 double-sided when we have it at the poll. And again, it's also on the back page, printed twice on the back page of the news review, the week before and the week following the election. So it's also in the news review.
Right. So were there any comments or questions about the information? I believe it was Mr. Rand, Robert Rand, who made several suggestions. I don't know if he's online. Is he online?
No, I don't see him.
There's a number of demographic suggestions. So I believe one of the questions had to do with racial identity.
Yep. So the memo that was in your packet kind of lays out what we're talking about. And the discussion that Bob Rand had brought forward and council had referred to CRAB was should we add questions of racial identity and gender identity on the questionnaire. So CRAB went through it, had a number of discussions, and their recommendations was that we add them. So the 2025 questionnaire has those as numbers 8 and 9. I kind of met with staff, talked to the city manager, talked to our DEI officer to make sure kind of the language was appropriate for the survey, and put in there for your consideration. One of the things that it does say in the memo is that in order to fit those on the front page, we had to swap one of the questions out. Question number 8 had asked about transportation preference. So just for this one survey, we swapped that out. CRAB's recommendation also was that going forward, we take a look at the entire survey, the entire middle page. The pages 2 and 3 we didn't look at this time. We just simply didn't have the time to really dig into it. We need to get staff involved, residents involved, and that is a recommendation to look at those pages going forward. So this recommendation would be to include CRAB's questions, the back page. You can look at the back page of 23 versus 25 and notice that we've changed the back questions that were kind of just just general comment questions, and we've made them more focused based on the CRAB recommendation.
Well, thank you. I strongly support the idea of circling back next year and just maybe outsourcing this survey, just getting a second opinion, I guess, more or less, on the way that it's formatted and the kinds of questions. On the racial identity question, it just occurs to me that some people identify as being multiracial, and that's I think that might be a blind spot on the the survey questions. Councilmember McKinney?
Question, and this is in the packet on page 104. Two questions in there. Number 5 says, do you feel welcome at all City of Greenbelt events? Is that a recommended question from CRAB, or is that an existing question? Because I'm not, so the options are in Greenbelt West, in Greenbelt Center, in Greenbelt East. I'm not sure what the question is actually asking, because why should it matter if, like, is the question asking, do you feel comfortable if the events were in those 3 areas, or do you just feel comfortable at Greenbelt events? I don't know why we would have to make that distinction.
We're kind of cross-tabbing that against the question on the first page, which says, which part of the city do you live in? So, right, because on the front page, we've been asking that question forever. So we can kind of cross-tab the data and say, if you live in Greenbelt West, this is how you feel about recreation, this is how you feel about police. So we're saying if you feel welcome in the areas of the city, it would be helpful to know, if you're in Greenbelt West, if you live in Greenbelt West and you don't feel welcome in Greenbelt Center, then that's a tangible thing that the city manager and the staff can really start to address. If we just simply say, do you feel welcome in an event, but we don't know who's answering the question, the answer is not as helpful, because we don't know who doesn't feel welcome in Greenbelt East. And what we're trying to do with these 5 category questions on the back is to really make the results more actionable by city staff, by the manager and the team, to kind of see where these issues are. So that's why we've added these, to try to really drill down as we try to really focus on how do we make and allow the folks in Greenbelt West to feel more welcome, because one of the criticisms we've heard over the years is that it's a lot of the residents of Greenbelt West don't feel welcome in other parts of the city, other events. So we're trying to drill down on that question to figure out how we can start to resolve those issues.
I get what you're trying to get to. I'm not sure if I read that question, if I would associate it with that. You know what I mean? So because of the breakdown.
Appreciate that.
So I'm just wondering if there's a different way to word it. And then the second is just probably more of a nitpicky thing. In number 3, you state the question, are we offering activities that are of interest to you? So you need to change that. And then if we're going to say we, so you go from like third person to first person. So if you're going to say the city, or you're going to say we, so I would just keep it consistent and either say, is the city offering activities that are of interest to you? And then make sure every question is saying the city, or say, are we? That makes sense?
Oh, yeah, sorry about 3 on the questionnaire. It's correct. So somehow on the memo, it's not correct. On the questionnaire, it says, are we offering events/activities? So I got a little too.
But do you see also what I'm saying about the we versus the city?
Sure, 100%.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I think to go to Ms. McKinney's point about number 5, I wonder if, to make that clearer, you could make it, do you feel welcome at all City of Greenbelt events held in Greenbelt West, ? Greenbelt Center, ? Greenbelt East, ? So that it's clear that it's about the events held in those locations, and it's sort of, because in a sense, it's 3 separate questions, but it's a more concise way to phrase it. I think that might get the intent across a little bit better.
Can I? That is, so Greenbelt West, everybody knows where Greenbelt Center is, right? But I'm not so sure if people are so much familiar when I say Greenbelt West, Greenbelt East. The majority of maybe people who have not been here that as long as we have, and we know exactly what we're talking about. So
yeah, we can define, there's space in the question where we can define the areas.
Councilmember Niesel.
It was mentioned earlier that it really seems as though we need a new set of eyes on this entire thing, and I would very much agree with that. Simply, the best example is that we now have this back page, which is entitled General Comments, and it's just more survey questions. So I understand that you and CRAB are trying to tease out more specific answers, But is there a way to do that in the 4-page survey?
I mean, this is part of the 4-page survey. We can.
Well, I know. It's confusing to me as a user to think, okay, I just filled out this survey and now I'm going to do more survey. Whereas before, you really were getting the data, and then you were also getting more open-ended answers, rather, if they chose to answer them. And now, if it was a matter of people were not using those spaces to answer the questions, or because of the amount of time it was taking to get the answers, it's not useful, then that's a different situation. But to separate it like this, to continue to separate it like this, doesn't seem like a natural flow at this point.
Your point's well taken, you know. I have agreed. I think that we do need a fresh set of eyes on this. Next time around, I'd like to really see that happen. But now we're faced with this survey as it is. Councilmember McKinney?
Yes, I agree with what Councilmember Niesel and what the mayor is saying, and I'm wondering if you're going to have an extra set of eyes. Are you having somebody who is skilled almost at copywriting, at putting this together? Because I know you're trying to put a lot of stuff on one page, and from an accessibility standpoint, from somebody that may have a cognitive type of disability, it's going to be hard to even focus on it. So that's one thing. And then I'm noticing just pure formatting things. There's extra spaces between words and things like that. So we want to make sure that that is also addressed before it goes out to the public.
That's a great question. I'd like to take us back to where Mr. George says that the survey's been forever. We had a conversation with the team about how long the tool has been in place, and one of the senior members of the team who'd been here for 30 plus years remember the surveys being the same. And so even the questions that CRAB has reviewed is a substantial review from what the survey has received. So the primary focus of the effort was to handle the referral from a council to CRAB based on the inquiry made by Mr. Rand, and this is the outcome of that referral. I think the entire questionnaire should be reviewed. I think it's been used year after year in the same format, and it hasn't had a thorough review. So this is from the 2 years. My 2-year anniversary was this week. This is the first time that the survey's really come up, and we've had a chance to review. We're amenable to whatever council wants to do in terms of review and do a more thorough review. I think that there are companies that have very specific civic engagement, citizen engagement survey tools, and I think that you've seen those companies at the National League of Cities. That's their primary focus. So the tool is what has existed for so long. Administration is not attached to it. This is just the first time that we're now having a deeper dive in the tool. So appreciate the feedback. I think it validates what staff have been thinking for some time, that this is a tool and we're trying to get the most data and usefulness out of it. And this is what CRAB, the body that it was referred to, has evaluated and provided a recommendation on. I think it's worth, now that we're having this conversation, that we go back to CRAB and said, hey, this is the feedback that we received from council. There's 2 ways we can approach this. We can task CRAB to do a deeper analysis and review of the tool itself, or look to do a more, just redoing the process. Redoing the process does, we should review how the data has been used over time. Part of what drove the presentations this year to get the report before council and talk through the report by Maryland University on the questionnaire was that we had a deadline on the budget, and the data feeds into the budget, all the scores, and that's done every 2 years. So that's one of the things that pushed the presentation to council forward. And then Bob Rand at one of those meetings say, hey, great report, but have you considered this? So all that to say is thank you for the feedback. I think you all raise valid points. It's been a tool that was designed long time ago, and we've continued to use it. And I think with anything else, it requires a review with some frequency, with some regularity, to make sure that we're asking the right questions, we're meeting our residents where they are in terms of accessibility. We've expanded to be digital, paper, and whatnot. But I think it's worth reviewing it in its entirety. Are we meeting our residents where we are? With the demographics change in our community over the 30 plus years that this tool has been in place, and also a lot of the terminologies has changed. We have a lot of young people that have a different way of communicating and expressing themselves.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think that we do need to go back and with CRAB actually provide them with some alternatives or suggestions rather than just referring it back to CRAB. I think that some administrative action on the part of council to actually enable this as a part of the budget, perhaps next year. I'd like to do that.
Right. And I
But
think
for today,
And I think for the purposes of today, council referred a specific request to CRAP. And so to the sense of their work, I think they did a good job responding to council's referral, which was to look at this specific request from Mr. Rand to look at the demographic information and relevant questions. And this is specifically in response to that. And I think that they would welcome a more holistic review of the entire survey. Tim, did I miss anything on that or anything you want to add?
I think that's good.
Okay.
comment, please.
I would just say to the point that was raised about do people know like where the different sections, we all know how we would divide the city into thirds roughly, but I've talked to plenty of people who live in Franklin Park or Motiva who've never been to the center. So like the center doesn't mean anything to them. If to them, some people might think the center is the metro because that's the major thing that a lot of people associate with the city in their daily life. If they commute from Franklin Park, they go to the Greenbelt Metro, and wouldn't that be the center? Definitely from a transportation point, it's a center for that person. But definitely explain to folks where the co-op is. People had just give me a very blank look at their face because they're like, oh, I didn't even know that was over there, right? And I think you say east, and people would probably go past Goddard and think that still Greenbelt as well, because people aren't looking at the municipal boundaries every day. Some of us do, and some of us have eccentric interests in these things that probably don't reflect most of the population. So just from what I've heard in the community, I think that it's easy for us to look top down at things and say, oh, this is east, this is west, this is center. But I think residents might struggle a little more to figure out where those boundaries are.
Well, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, and I think one of the things looking at this the way it is on this page, it does actually give boundaries on the general information page. It's just we see that after we see these questions because it's formatted for printing. So that maybe if people do it in order, then they will have seen those boundaries described, and that might help a little bit. I think one thought going to Ms. Niesel's point, I wonder if there would be a way to, although it's condensing it and adding more, the new questions on this sort of back page are taking up a lot more space. Like there's only one column instead of two columns. So it seems like it might be possible to condense those a little bit and give us at least a little bit more space for some actual general comments, because it seems like most of these questions are related to engagement, community engagement. So that might be a better title for that section, but you could move like 1 and 2 under that section. So if you rename that section community engagement, or I think that's a reasonably appropriate thing, but put 1 and 2 on the same, like, do you see how, do I mean there? And then you could maybe not get all of the questions back, but maybe at least like what improvements to the city or new city programs would you suggest? I mean, there's the other one that was removed was about mail-in voting process. I'm not sure we need that one anymore, but maybe at least you could get a little bit more of that general feedback, open-ended questions back. But it is actually not removing things, it's putting things back in, so it's making it, if anything, more dense, which doesn't solve the overall problem, but maybe solves kind of the immediate problem.
Okay, so Councilmember McKinney.
On in the description at the top of the survey, and this probably goes to looking at an overall overhaul, like it doesn't really actually say what we're trying to achieve with this survey. So we're sending out a survey, we're asking a lot of questions. It just kind of says city council and staff want to know, but it doesn't actually give people kind of a call to action of why they should actually complete the survey in the first place. So if I was to get that, I'd be like, well, why are they asking me all these questions? I don't really have time to do that. So why would I spend the time to do it? So I think being able to give people a why for them to actually do it would be helpful. So maybe modifying, I mean, this is if we're still sticking with this overall. I would probably take a different approach overall to this, but if we are sticking with that, that is an adjustment that I would suggest making is looking at the directions at the top.
Yeah, and the whole question about how long it actually takes to complete, it sort of begs the question of when these surveys come back, as they do every 2 years for many years, how many people actually get all the way through it? How many people actually stop after a page or two? 'Cause, you're voting, and you're trying to fill out the survey, and you're asking, well, why are they asking me all these questions? Maybe you only make it through one page. So I just think it's very, very important to have a firm or someone else take a look at this with expertise. Some of the questions, I'll say it again, the racial identity question is flawed. I think the Census Bureau has a different way of sort of asking the question.
And we get back to the question, the racial question, but believe it or not, most people get through the whole survey. Because when we look at the data all the way to the end, the total number of questions and yes, nos, and prefer not to answer are the same. So people really do. I mean, the folks who go through it really do go through it. And yeah, I think looking at the entire questionnaire is something that we really want to do. To Ms. McKinney's point, it's extremely dense. And we, city manager and I were speaking earlier today about making sure that the results that we have are actionable and useful, not only for the manager and the team, but also council. So that's a big part of when we do take another look at the survey and change it up, maybe make it an annual survey down to biannual. So the other issue is the city, as rec director made a comment of this morning, is it's 2 years. The data is 2 years old. We just went through COVID, so the beginning part of the survey, maybe people are remembering how it was like in COVID. If you're answering towards the end of the survey, then so having it annually could be helpful. But I do want to point out the demographic questions I ran through Tyra, our DI officer, took a look at. So some of them are a little different, like the race and the other questions were kind of deviating a little bit from what the census would do because we're trying to get a more complete picture of both from a racial ethnicity standpoint as well as from a gender standpoint.
Okay, so I don't think this is, we've given you a little guidance. I don't think we need to vote on this, do we?
There are two different approaches to take on this. You want to weigh in on what the actual decision is? Because there's two options.
Well, I think, really, I think we can either bring it back, we can make the change and bring it back. We are on a bit of a time constraint. We need to get the survey done and ready so that Benita and the team can get it out with the mail-in voting.
Oh, yeah. Well, how about this? Why don't you make some revisions? We can put it on the consent agenda, which comes up in 2 weeks. And if any member of the public or council has any additional shifts or anything, we can pull it off. What do you think?
Enough September 24th, right?
Yeah.
It's the next meeting.
Is that enough time?
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing we'll call to your attention are the questions from staff, which are the current questions. And one of them is, which of the three options for the redevelopment of the Armour site do you prefer? That lists the three concepts that council have requested. And the second question being, should Greenbelt provide a citywide circulator bus service? And if yes, do you support raising taxes to cover the cost? This was one of the in the framework, part of the budget process, we identify an objective to explore the circulator program. So this question is specifically tied to that objective that council wanted to explore.
I don't have a problem with including those questions.
No, it's fine.
And we welcome feedback if you have other questions.
Great to include them, very, yeah.
Well, so with the three options, should there be other option? So if somebody has some other idea, they can jot it down?
We can add another option to the first question of the three development options for the Amherst site. The question is tied to what's going to be presented to council later this month on the three options that council has requested. So I think leaving another open item, what would council do with that? Will you explore an additional concept, or you're looking at just the three concepts that council has funded to explore?
Well, and also, like, we're not gonna get the survey back for 18 months, so we're gonna be well into, I mean, that's the history, what history tells us that, so I don't know how effective, like, we just wouldn't be able to act on it because we're not gonna see it for so long. I don't know.
That's a good point, and I apologize it takes so long to get the data back.
I mean, that's not your fault.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I'd prefer to leave it as just the three questions for the plans that we will be presented later on. I think adding, I mean, the whole purpose of doing all of the public engagement that we did around the Armory was to get those open-ended answers. I'm not sure at this point asking that on a survey is particularly productive, because we already asked a bunch of, I mean, we would hear from more. We would hear from more in this, but that was the purpose of the engagement process.
Well, it certainly was. The sample of people who were engaged could have been bigger. Always could be bigger. But at this time, I'm not going to sit here and quibble. Why don't we go ahead and put this on the consent agenda, include those two questions, and take a look at it. The public can look at the consent agenda as well. And that's that.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, so that'll bring us to council reports. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, where did my activities go? There's the council activity since the last council meeting. Oh, sorry, this is wrong. This is the Greenbrier volunteer. Copied that over wrong. Greenbrier volunteer event. I will say there is a single entry for the Labor Day Festival, but of course that encompasses lots more events than that. But it might be a whole nother page if we spelled out all of the Labor Day Festival activities. I think the Sunrise Caribbean ribbon cutting is listed separately because that was not really part of Labor Day. But I don't know if anybody has any comments. And I think, is Geesey, did I spell that wrong? It's like that, isn't it? No, Geesey, I think it's G-I-E. I think I had that spelled wrong.
Okay, so we've been busy. Let's move on. Council activities, meetings, any comments before we do have to need to go into a closed session at this time?
We had the one item 21.
Yeah, item 21. What was
Yeah.
that thing?
On the meetings, we did disclose the meet and greet with Superintendent October 14th. If you have any questions, let me know.
October 14th.
At Dora Kennedy.
Okay, so item number 21.
Yes, I would like to propose that, is my mic working? I'd like to propose that staff begin working on a charter amendment to allow all non-managerial city employees to form a union to collectively bargain.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? When you say, yeah, please.
I just think I want to mention that, that topic came up before, that it was offered that they possibly could, also unionize, just like our police department does, right? I don't want to give the impression that the public thinks that we were against that. Council wasn't against that. I think it came up at one point, but there was no follow-up from that side. So it wasn't like we didn't want them to unionize. They can, but I also want to say that whenever our police department, the negotiations, a lot of times we gave everybody the same benefits as the police received. So it was not, I don't want you thinking that we didn't, take care of our public works employees, or we told them, no, you can't unionize. That did not happen while I was on this council, except Emmett can chime in on this.
No, that's very true. So this is a process, this legal process that has to kind of move forward. So our legal counsel has to look at it, and also the members of the Public Works Department need to kind of figure out, in conjunction, if they have a legal counsel, or depending on the city, exactly what steps have to take place. Of course, changing the charter, it's a resolution that's going to take 2 readings. So, I mean, we can certainly take this vote tonight, but there are steps that have to happen in order for it to move ahead expeditiously. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and I believe this is just voting to ask staff to start working on a charter amendment. And I guess, I mean, for my part, and it was always my assumption that, of course, the city staff could unionize. That's protected by federal law. It was only when Ms. Poppy brought it up that actually it's not the case. We do actually have to authorize it, I think, because it's a municipality. That was just, and that's my fault for not looking into it, but it was always my assumption that, of course, if the city staff wanted to form a union, they'd be able to. That's protected by federal law. And I didn't know that that wasn't the case until I think earlier this year. And again, that's maybe something I should have paid more attention to and looked into more, but it was always I don't think that any city staff has come to council since I've been on council in the last 4 years asking for that. And I just assumed if they wanted to, they could. I did not realize we had to do additional authorization. So I am fully supportive of going forward. That's, you can't know everything. So I appreciate Ms. Poppy having brought it forward several months ago, whenever she did. I don't remember when exactly that was.
Councilmember.
Yeah, I mean,
It's actually, Mr. Roberts has not spoken yet.
Thank you. I don't have any problem with anyone who wants to organize and unionize, but I don't think it's really appropriate to bring this up at a meeting when it hasn't been advertised and our residents don't have at least a chance to comment before we start the process. We don't need to be in that much of a hurry. We should at least let it go to the next regular meeting and advertise it so the public has a chance to respond before we start that process. I think that's really the appropriate way to go about it, because a lot of people come up here with petitions, and they want us to act, immediately. And the council always tells them, well, we don't act on petitions, at the meeting that they're presented. So I think, to be fair with everyone, we should follow our regular process and our regular practice. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
So are you moving to table it until the next meeting? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to move to table it, but I think that the maker of the motion should really rethink that.
Councilmember.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't think that, staff coming and asking to form a union is any indication that they've been denied to do that in the past. I think that they've just decided they want to do it now, and that's okay. And that's allowed by law, and we're not allowed to interfere with that. And I would just say, as someone who has organized unions and bargained for contracts, it takes a lot of effort to get to a place where you have a majority who is ready to vote on a contract. And that's why it's important to sort of move with speed, so that we're being responsive to all of the organizing work. And I don't know how long they've been working on this, but it's likely months that they have been working on this. So, we're not, the only action we're taking is asking staff to begin drafting a charter amendment. There's going to be plenty of time for public comment. In fact, there will be, a public hearing should it make it through. So I think out of respect to our public works staff, we should move as quickly as we can on this so they can continue their efforts.
Any other thoughts from council? Okay, I see there's a comment from the public. Mr. Orleans?
Orleans resident. I actually agree with Councilmember Roberts, although I've been impatient for this discussion to occur for a long time. I agree with Councilmember Pompey that discussion should begin in earnest sooner than later. But I agree with Councilmember Roberts, residents should have notice of this discussion. And my suggestion is, since it's not all that hard to amend the charter, council has done it in the past when it wanted to with very little notice. It does not require counsel from the city's council. If council wants to amend the charter, it can choose to do so on its own. I would welcome an opportunity for the public to participate in this discussion before it would vote yes or no to do so. All it requires, I disagree with Councilmember Pompey and anybody else who thinks staff needs to draft legislation. A simple sentence included in the charter that by ordinance council recognizes the right of all its employees to organize and collectively bargain, and a simple sentence in the code stipulating that neither city management nor council will attempt to impede on that right is all it takes. It doesn't require drafting language. A simple sentence. I appreciate both Councilmembers Pompey's and Councilmember Roberts' position. I think it should be on the agenda for a full discussion, a first reading of that simple sentence at the next regular meeting, and with a follow-up full discussion, inviting the residents of the city to participate at the next following regular meeting, and a vote, yes or no to do so, at the second regular meeting following tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Is anybody online with a comment?
No.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion? So, please.
I've worked in labor relations for many years, and I've been a union organizer. So it is not as simple as passing a single sentence. There are a series of processes. You need to set up a process for legal recognition of determining a majority. You can't just, obviously the workforce that has to be certified either by an independent party through card check, or it needs to be a union election held, and that normally is defined by the statute. As Councilmember Weaver said, the National Labor Relations Act doesn't cover public employees. It also doesn't cover domestic workers, and it also doesn't cover farm workers. There's a lot of exemptions to that due to historic racism in our labor laws. And in the state of Maryland, we don't have a uniform collective bargaining system that the states of New Jersey or New York have. So you apply to a state board for recognition, and then the process begins. And there's a state mediating body as well. So it's very important to kind of just note that while a lot of times you do see in the private sector voluntary recognition, so there could be informal processes of recognition once the management has determined that there is a majority. It is, important to be clear that what staff is drafting is looking at what kind of recognition mechanisms are being used. There are pros and cons to the different systems. It's a huge national debate over card check, a huge national debate over elections, and whether or not employers should be allowed to be involved in elections. I don't think they should be allowed to be involved in union elections, but that's not the case under current law. And then impasse procedures for the actual bargaining process, right? So if management is not able to come to a resolution, these are really important questions around binding arbitration or a right to strike. And these are important questions that can't just be resolved by saying we recognize a union, because you need to make sure that that union is actually representative of a majority of the workforce, because it has exclusive representation under the law. And then you have to make sure that the city is bargaining in good faith with employees, and that there is a balance somewhere Um, a lot of systems don't allow for any kind of impasse procedure, and that leads to a lot of problems where you say you've recognized a union, but the union actually doesn't have any ability to contest what it thinks if it thinks management is dictating unfair terms. So I really urge the council to move expediently on setting up a process, but I do think that there are specific details, and I do think it's appropriate to ask staff tonight to start laying out those options so that we can have an informed public debate. And I don't think you need to wait on that.
Thank you so much. Your points, your comments are on point. I think that some background information gathering on exactly what we can and can't do and what the process entails, both from the city standpoint and from the employee standpoint, has to take place. So I kind of feel like your motion is rushing the process a little bit, or just, certainly expediting this so that the staff can begin gathering that information is important. What was your motion again?
I'd like staff to move forward with preparing a charter amendment to allow non-managerial staff to collectively bargain and form a union.
Yeah, I just worry, and it was seconded, who seconded, you seconded? I worry that staff is not in a position to, without gathering some additional information and getting input from the public, won't really be in a position to draft that. Do you feel like you have sufficient guidance, Mr. Summeron, to draft a charter amendment that would encompass the city's responsibilities and, the rights of our workers?
That encompasses the city's responsibility. I think that's the loaded part of the question. I think
It's not meant to be loaded, it's just trying to, outline things clearly.
Well, in terms of drafting language, I think the language isn't necessarily the issue. I think we would try to adhere to what existing procedures are for the police department, the collective bargaining unit of the police department, and there it addresses things like impasse, arbitration. Council is the arbitrator, so if the city manager and the collective bargaining unit can't come to an agreement, it's up to council to decide. So some of those things are spelled out already, and I would not recommend that council deviate from existing collective bargaining arrangements with the police union. My first call, I need to speak with both our solicitor and a labor attorney, which we have one.
Right.
That represents us. So the language is one component of it, and then there are other questions I would have for the legal team. What are the things to consider with a public works collective bargaining unit?
Right, and that's specifically, it's what I was asking. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and I think directing staff to start working on drafting a charter amendment doesn't mean that it's going to come up at the next meeting. It may need that we may need to have a work session on it going forward. I think this is just, I think we're going to have some more of that public comment, but that work session will be more productive, having given staff instruction to start looking at it and gathering the information needed. Then we have the work session to discuss it, and then it comes to a regular meeting again. So I think it's not as if, despite Mr. Orlean's desire to have it come up that quickly, it's not as simple as that, but this starts the process.
And to be clear, that wasn't my intent, was that in 2 weeks for voting. The intent is we're starting the process because it will take time to gather all the information we need, to talk to everyone we need to talk to. We will have to have work sessions on this to talk about it. And that's the idea behind sort of starting now, so that, because, even going through the process, we go through the process, we have work sessions, we have first readings, we have hearings, we have second readings, and then they have to negotiate a contract. I mean, so it's like going to be a long time for them. So that's why I'm saying, like, let's start now, so that maybe this time next year, should they, have their union, that they might actually have a contract a year from now, maybe, if we're starting right now. I mean, because it's a long process, especially bargaining a first contract. That takes even longer. So,
Mr. Roberts?
Maybe it's not so much saying to draft something, but just beginning the process of looking into what needs to be done and how we're going to do it. I think maybe that would be a better approach. And then, so you just gather the information now instead of putting you like in a bind and saying, okay, we want this drafted. I think that might be the hang up here a little bit. And I would agree. I said, let's get the information. What is it we need to do? How are we going to proceed? and then come back and, share your information, and then we can go from there, and then we can say, okay, now we need to do this, this, and this.
Mr. Roberts?
I had the same, I was going to say same thing that Councilmember Pope said. I think the motion is just misworded. It should not be, start drafting the ordinance. It should be start gathering the information to draft an ordinance. Same thing, Ms. Pope.
I would be
think that's
willing
what it
to amend my motion to begin gathering information to draft an ordinance. Would you be willing to
Yes,
accept
that's
that?
fine.
Yeah.
If that makes
I'd
people
be
more
willing to do
comfortable.
that, if that makes people more comfortable. I mean, I think.
For me, it's not even comfort, it's just the process. We need to start, but we need to start someplace. And I don't think drafting the charter amendment is necessarily the first step, but as quickly as we can gather the information and move and get the input that we need. Councilmember, do you have any thoughts? I'm sorry, any comments? Okay.
Anything that we can do to move this forward, because I absolutely agree that as much as we can do to support our workers is the best thing we can possibly do.
Of course.
Of course. Councilmember
And
McKinney.
like I said,
any-
not to say that we've not supported them.
Oh, no,
and,
no, but
because
yeah, moving forward,
of
let's
course
just do
they can
it.
do that, and they
Yeah.
should be able to. That's not the problem.
It's not the issue.
No.
Okay, so all in favor? Please.
Mr.
I'd
Orleans
like
already
go
had
ahead.
to speak.
So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. And you have clear direction, Mr. Summerall?
Yes, and I will come back to council with things that we need. I think our legal team would have to be involved, and we'll explore what does a labor attorney, getting a labor attorney involved. And I have a authorization under existing budget and just my own authority, but I don't know if I will exceed the expenditure limit, and I'll come back to council if we need additional resources or direction as needed.
Very good. This is exciting. Thank you. So at this time, I do believe we need to move into a closed session. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yep. I move that council go into closed session in accordance with section 3-305B1 and 3 of the general provisions article of the annotated code of public general laws of Maryland to discuss the appointment, I'm jumping around here, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and 2, to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the city manager evaluation as well as annexation of real property. In addition to council, city manager Salmaron and director of planning Terry Ruby will be in the meeting, and I don't believe anyone else. Is that correct? Just those two? Okay. Note that council will not return to open session following this closed session.
Okay, thank you. Madam, if there's no discussion, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Pope has seconded. If there's no discussion, let's go ahead. Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Ms. Niesel,
Yes.
Ms. McKinney,
Yes.
Ms. Pompey,
Yes.
Ms. Pope,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
No.
Ms. Weaver,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay.
So it's 10:18.
Let's see, what time is it?
10:18.
10:18, okay. Okay, so let's shut down the Zoom.
Thank you. Could you check that?
Mr. George is going, I gotta use some.
You mind if we're taking a break?
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah. My water bottle.
I'm tearing this survey up, man.
Well, that was the thing, was crab was like, but it's like, God. We don't,